everyone. Happy Monday after the Super Bowl. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Everyone deserves love, whether or not you have a significant other or not. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you guys enjoyed the halftime Super Bowl. That's the only thing I watched, in the Super Bowl. I thought that was great. It took me back to my college and high school days. Um, Let me introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Aisha Chidole. I'm an immigration attorney. I represent clients all over the United States with their family immigration matter. We have offices in Florida and Atlanta, Georgia, but we take clients all over. So it doesn't matter where you are. Happy Valentine's Day, OB, Digital Footprints. That's my brother. Hi, Mary. Hi, Denver. Happy Valentine's Day, Real Lexi. Good morning, Goddess. Fanny Boy. Good morning, Ade Kunle. On Facebook, Cleopatra on YouTube, Macadona on Facebook. Hey y'all, hey y'all. Okay, let's jump right into it. Oh, before we jump right into it, if you want to call me and schedule consultation, my number is 407 995 6567. You can also send a WhatsApp message 404 333 8751. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you guys. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Goddess says, I love your hair. Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, let's talk about the requirements of a successful VAWA petition. And just, a couple of new laws that came out last week. We can just get right into it. So, real quick, real short summary for those of you who don't know what VAWA is. That is a law that basically allows you, as an abused victim by a U.S. citizen spouse or a green card holder spouse, to get a green card. You're also eligible if you're a child and your step parent or parent is abusive towards you, and they're a U.S. citizens or green card holder. And then you're also eligible if you are a parent who's over the age of 21. A parent who has a child who's over the age of um, I'm sorry, my brother is cracking me up today. You're crazy, Obi. Stop. Thank you. Yeah, my lipstick is Anastasia of Beverly Hills, and it's Serafina or something like that. I used to do a column called Lipsticks and Trademarks. Maybe I'm going to start doing that because, I know people always asking me what lipstick I'm wearing. So I might just start, throwing that in there before I talk about whatever I'm talking about. Anyway, back to what I was saying. And so you're also eligible as a parent if you have a child who's a US citizen over the age of 21. So keep in mind that with parents, your child must be a US citizen. With children and spouses, you could be a green card holder or a US citizen. So, I really want to talk about what the requirements are. So the first and foremost requirement is that you have a good faith marriage. If it's related to marriage, this obviously doesn't apply to parental VAWA cases. You have a good faith marriage. What does a good faith marriage mean? A good faith marriage essentially means that you and your spouse entered into your marriage legitimately. You guys didn't enter this for immigration purposes. You really entered this marriage and things just didn't work out, right? And that's why you're obviously having issues. And really, obviously, I can probably spend like another live talking about what is considered a good faith marriage. How do you show a good faith marriage? So that's one of the requirements, right? The second requirement is that you have to show cohabitation. So listen clearly to this, because new rules came out last week about cohabitation. So prior to last week, USCIS would only focus on cohabitation that happened during the marriage, right? But now it's cohabitation at any point, meaning before you were married, you lived together, and then you got married, you didn't live together. So they will count that as cohabitation. So if you've not been able to qualify before, now you can qualify if you have cohabitation before you married, and then you guys just never moved in together after marriage. And again, remember, guys, there is no timeline or requirement for cohabitation. So you could have been lived together for 2 months versus 2 years. Cohabitation is cohabitation as far as USCIS is concerned. So, for those of you that were not eligible before, this would be helpful to you. The other requirement is also that, you cannot remarry somebody else while your petition is pending. So if you submit a VAWA petition, if you remarry somebody else, it's like you've abandoned your application. So you won't get the green card, because even if they approve you for the VAWA, they'll say, well, you remarried somebody else, so we can't give you a green card. So you're free to be in a relationship. If you're divorced, nobody's stopping you from being in a relationship, proposing to whoever you want to propose to. If you have a child, it's what it is. Just do not remarry and sign on any dotted lines with another spouse until they've made a decision. Okay. Another requirement is good moral character. So good moral character is basically where they look back 3 years to see that you've not had any criminal infractions or any criminal infractions that they consider crimes of moral turpitude. Sometimes, we may have clients that say, I had an arrest for domestic violence and I really didn't do anything, and my spouse set me up as part of her abusive pattern, but they didn't believe me. In those cases, that's the onus, so the job is on us to rehabilitate and show that this client is really a good person and that this is actually a result of the spouse doing this. Hey, Gemma, all my peeps are here today. I have some of my really good friends on live today. So we have to be able to show that. Obviously there are other things. You definitely don't want anything to do with drugs, because forget it. And then there are other things that would not be considered as crimes of moral turpitude, even if you're arrested. So it's always good to be honest and communicate with us what it is, because there will always be a fingerprint run. We do not submit any of our application without running fingerprints, because we need to, one thing I hate personally is that I don't like surprises. What I mean by that is I submit petitions for clients because I want to win. I love winning, and if you don't love winning, that's okay. I'm very competitive. I want to win my clients' cases. So I want to know if my client has been arrested. I don't want to find out, after the fact, like, why didn't you tell me this? So it's better to tell us so that we know what we're doing and how to rehabilitate you, or to show that, you're a good person and this happened, or however long ago it was. So that's very important. The other thing is that you have to show that your spouse has been extremely cruel to you, and abusive. So I know a lot of people say, well, I don't have a police report. My spouse wasn't physically violent to me. I'm going to talk about those two things because these are the two areas that people are very fearful of. What I realize is that culturally, a lot of people don't understand what physical violence is. I've had people in consultations who say, well, I mean, he slapped me one time, but he's not physically abusive. He really doesn't do that. Slapping you is physically abusive. That is physical abuse. Oh, well, he's never really hit me, but he's left me in the house, locked the house, stranded, and left us stranded with no food, no water. He turned off and he went to stay in a hotel because there was no air, there was no heater because it was super cold, but left me and my children there. But he's never physically hit me. That is physical abuse. Physical abuse can be anything that will put you, your children at danger, at risk of something happening to you physically. So never count yourself out because you don't think what is happening is extreme enough. When I say you don't think it's extreme enough, because some of us come from cultures where certain things are okay, or well, I mean, your husband slapped you, you guys got into a fight, or your wife, well, and I'm not picking on guys here, but I'm just using it as an example, because I see this happening with especially people from West African culture, where they would say, okay, well, just go back, go work things out. You guys should just go work things out. Don't fight with your spouse, don't fight with your husband. But those things are physical abuse. But again, even if that's not happening, abuse can take many forms. Let's talk about Kanye West, actually. In fact, let's talk about Kanye West. So, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that Kanye West and Kim Kardashian are getting divorced. I don't know if you guys saw the rant and the rampage on his social media platform yesterday. I was driving back from Georgia with my family yesterday. So I had all the time to go through all his social media. And what Kanye West did yesterday, if your spouse is doing that, that is considered abuse. That is gaslighting. That is narcissistic. That is bullying. You know, I don't care if he's a celebrity or he's a genius, but if you have somebody that you're separated from telling you that you're never going to be with that other person, I made you, I bought you that jacket, posting pictures of your boyfriend, calling him whack, saying all these things about you as a mother, and basically insinuating that you're not a good parent, because you're doing X, Y, and Z. Those would actually qualify you for a VAWA petition. If those things are happening. Obviously, Kanye and Kim Kardashian are US citizens, so they don't have to worry about that. But I'm using that as an excuse, as an example, because granted, let's even say that, there are potential issues, that he might have with his spouse or her partner of choice or whatever it is. By publicly humiliating somebody that way in social media, and putting that person's private business out, it is, a misdemeanor or felony, even in some states, internet harassment and internet bullying. So that's an example of something that's not physical that can be considered extremely cruel, right? You have psychological stuff, when people tell you so much about who you are or who you're not, that it begins to affect you psychologically, that you start having suicidal ideations, or you start thinking, I'll never be good enough. I'm so fat. I'm so ugly. I'm so whatever. Those are all things that show extreme cruelty. Extreme cruelty can also take a form of financial abuse. We see that a lot with more financial. We see it with women, but we see more men being abused for finances. And the reason why I say that is because you see a lot of men where culturally the men have been the primary breadwinners, are supposed to be the primary breadwinners of their family, and if they don't have a job because they don't have a green card or work permit, where the wife's basically telling them, you're basically good for nothing. Like, you can't satisfy me. Shoot, I should have just married somebody for papers. At least I know they'll be paying me. Or what are you doing? Look at your mates. Look at other people, like how they're buying this for their wives. They're doing all that stuff. Or knowing that you can only afford a Kia and they're asking you to buy them a Range Rover, knowing that that's going to put you bankrupt, or people using your social security number to open credit cards and, things like that. And, I'm just giving you guys just different random examples. There's just so much to cover. And I always have to say, guys, both women and men experience abuse. So nobody should better comment on my post talking about, what about women? What about men? Women do it too. Men do it too. They both do it. It's just sometimes I might give an example of a woman or a man, but believe me, both men abuse women abuse women. Men abuse men, because some, we also deal with it with same-sex marriages. Anybody can experience abuse. So abuse is a gender equal or neutral thing that happens. Let's see what else on the extreme cruelty can I talk about. So extreme cruelty also can be with intimacy. If your spouse basically is, sleeping around. So guys, I want to talk about sleeping around real quick. We've seen sometimes where USCIS officers would say, well, okay, your wife had an affair or your husband had an affair. So they're just unfaithful. It doesn't mean that's abusive. They're just unfaithful. So what we look for is a pattern of behavior that can arise to the level of emotional distress to a spouse, right? And that could be, allowing a man to raise this child. This child is 6 years old before you now get into an argument and tell the man, well, that's not even your child. Could you imagine, after you've bonded and spent all this time with that child, to now find out that's not your child? or saying that you're using birth control and then you're not using birth control, or using intimacy as a weapon when there are issues, or forcing down. And then of course there are other things that are more graphic, like rape and sexual assault and things like that. But basically there are just so many things that we consider. So whatever it is that you think it is, it's always good to consult with an attorney and just be screened, so that we can be able to say, okay, this is actually not good. Okay, this is actually extreme cruelty. Let me see, what else am I forgetting? Okay, yeah, and then of course, for children who are filing based on VAWA, one of the new laws also that came out last week is that prior to last week, if your parents were if your parent and your step parent were divorced, you'll no longer be eligible. But now, because essentially the person is no longer your step parent, but now you're still eligible, whether or not you get divorced, you're still eligible for VAWA. Just keep in mind though that if you're a child and you're submitting a VAWA petition based on your step parent, that your step parent, your parent had to have been married to your step parent before you turned age 18. Okay, so I think I've covered as much as I can. Remember, let me answer some of y'all's questions. Hi Nikaya, what's up? Let's see. OJ Blazing says, yep. Send me address. Cuts by Roni. You got to call us to schedule a consultation, 407-995-6567. Good morning, Christy from YouTube. Happy Valentine's Day. Watching the Melu, happy Val's Day to you as well. To all of you, happy Val's Day, Elita. Christy from Mount Vernon tuning in. Good morning, Sonia. Good morning, Sandra. Good morning, Vernice. Adekon says, happy Valentine's Day to your hubby, your kids, and your entire team. Thank you so much. Same to you. Good morning, Minaj. Good morning, Sophia. Good morning, Faful Beef. Okay, so Adekon has a question. Does filing for VAWA have anything to do with your filing your taxes? No, it does. Well, I guess the answer depends on why you're asking the question, right? So if you're trying to show that you have a bona fide marriage, filing taxes with your spouse is helpful to show that you have a good faith bona fide marriage. Now, some people have asked this question where they've submitted their VAWA petition and they want to know, can I still file taxes with my spouse, because I really don't want my spouse to know anything. Absolutely. Continue to acquire as much bona fides as you can. Because, if they ever ask for more bona fides, you have those things to show. And for a lot of people, they stay in the marriage without their spouse knowing what's going on. And then maybe when they've been approved, that's usually when they have the courage to leave. So continue as normal so that your spouse doesn't know anything else, but it doesn't affect your case. Filing taxes together. If you don't file taxes together at all, it will be helpful to have other things that show that you have a bona fide marriage, just to make your petition stronger. The Black Baddie says, good morning. Could you please explain what the new updates say? I just did. So if you didn't get it, you can just watch this video when I finish. I'm going to save it. You can watch it again. Okay. So Kiara said, is it true that you have to have a police report to file for VAWA? A notario told me. Well, clearly that's why you shouldn't be going to a notario. No shade. You should be going to an attorney, because any attorney who handles VAWA cases will tell you that a police report is not a requirement. Is a police report helpful? Absolutely. But it is not a requirement when you're submitting a VAWA petition. Okay? As long as you have other things to show the abuse that you've experienced. Okay. Good morning, Vicky Hair Braiding Salon. Vicky Hair Braiding Salon, where are you located? I'm looking for a hair braider for my kids. Good morning, Olumide Hassan. Bella says, good morning. How long after VAWA is approved does it generally take to get a green card interview? It could take anywhere from the approval date to 6 months, or sometimes, we're seeing that more right now where they will bypass you for an interview. If you sent a medical exam, or if you didn't send one before, your medical exam is expired, they will just instead send you um, an RFE, which is a request for additional evidence. Basically, what that is telling you is that you need to submit your medical, and then once you submit your medical, they will do the approval. Okay, let me see what time it is. All right, guys, I still have a little bit of time. I have a pending I-751 based on abuse, not VAWA. Just did my biometrics. What do I expect next? At this point, nothing. Once you've done your biometrics for a 751, for those who don't know what a 751 is, it's basically a when you it's when you have a 2-year conditional green card. In order for you to remove the conditions in your green card, you have to file an I-751 to remove the condition. And the process is the same as a marriage-based case where you and your spouse have to do it. And if you and your spouse can't do it because your spouse is either abusive, or you've you've been divorced, you can apply based on an exemption waiver on those grounds. So for you right now, most pending conditional green cards take about 2 years. So I assume you probably got a 2-year extension of your green card. So you just really, it's a waiting game. And sometimes though, you will get a decision before the 2-year mark. But that's the average, really. If you're eligible, or you become eligible for naturalization, you can also apply for naturalization. So what will happen is, when they're interviewing you for the conditional green card, then they will also, do your naturalization interview. So you get approval for green card and citizenship all in one day. Now, a point of note to talk about conditional green cards based on abuse. The standards for approval are much higher than a typical VAWA case based on a person not having a green card, work permit, or anything else. I've talked about this a lot. If you submit a petition based on abuse as a green card holder, the expectation is higher of you to either speak up about what is happening. They expect to see police reports. It's still not a requirement, but it is certainly helpful. They expect to see psychological evaluations and just things like that, just because, it's harder to use the excuse of, I didn't want to go to the cops because I didn't have my papers, because you have your papers. So you really have to have some solid stuff. You really have to show some solid evidence, in that regard, because they expect you to have more stuff. Kiara says, I have a friend who got an RFE, which means a request for additional evidence. She didn't have proof of good moral character and something like that. Okay, tell your friend to call us. We'll be happy to look at her RFE and help her. Okay, Armando says, my question is, if I got married in Jamaica in 2017, was filed for me to come to US in 2019, separated in 2020, divorced in 2021, filed for removal of condition based on extreme cruel, and want to get married to someone else I'm in love with in Jamaica. Will I have a problem with USCIS when it comes time to file for her? So this is a good question and a good way to help you guys understand the difference between conditional green cards and a VAWA-based green card. So if you submit a VAWA-based green card, you cannot remarry until they make a decision on your case. If you have a conditional green card and you've divorced and you filed based on divorce or abuse, well, I should add divorce because you have to be divorced. Even if your case is pending, you can remarry somebody else. It will not disqualify you. That is a difference. And this is for conditional green cards and stuff. Good morning, Justina from LA. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm sure you're super happy. The Rams won yesterday. Okay. Okay, so Lakeisha says, what about if he was violent with her, then she left him after the abuse, but they're trying to get back together? Can she still apply for VAWA even though the abuse was in the past? Absolutely. It doesn't matter when the abuse was. And, listen, I'm no judge or jury, that's between you and God and your marriage. Are there people that, are in abusive relationships, they work things out and they get back together? Yeah, but it doesn't stop you from submitting a VAWA petition. And I would argue that that is the more reason why you should submit a VAWA petition, because you never want your partner to have that weapon, because to me, it is a weapon when someone dangles your green card or your citizenship or your ability to be in the United States over you. So get that on your own terms, and then know that if you're working on your marriage, you're choosing to work on your marriage, not because of the green card where somebody's holding it as a cloak over your head. But do we have people who have worked things out? Yeah. So abuse is abuse. Whenever it happened, it doesn't matter. We'll still be able to submit. Chrissy said, sad to say, but Kanye is a madman in clean clothes. I mean, the thing is that obviously he's mentally ill. This is a man who's bipolar. And I truly pray that he gets the help he needs. It's really hard when you're a celebrity and the people around you are yes men. So you know that you run the risk of losing your job if you say something. So hopefully he will have that epiphany to just get himself together. On the one hand, I understand his point of view, as, a father and wanting to be in his children's lives. But, there's so many ways to approach this, with, and letting the courts and the system do what it does, instead of just going out and blasting her or blacklisting everybody who's friends with this woman's new boyfriend or whatever it is. Say what we want about the Kardashians, Kanye West. This is just not the right medium. It's not the right way. These children are going to eventually see social media one day. It's heartbreaking for the children to see their parents or see him doing that, because Kim has taken the high road. So hopefully he gets the help he needs. Tyler says, thank you for this information. Didn't know VAWA had so many different benefits. That's why so many lawyers these days talking about it. But some of them are not as informative as you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I think it's really important to, because, one of the things that I observe a lot of times when people call because they want to know what it is that they qualify for, I think it's really important as a good advocate, because really that's what we are as lawyers, right? Counselors and zealous advocacy is to be able to, where on the surface, if somebody's like, well, I don't know if there's anything I qualify for, it's our job to screen for all the different benefits available to see if there's anything that you qualify for. And for a lot of people, because they don't have the knowledge or they don't have the information, they don't know what they qualify for. So, I find, and it's sad, because, there are many people that suffer, and stay in these relationships or these experiences because they never knew that they could qualify for this. So, hopefully more people will be able to share that or give that information, or I'll come to my live and I'll give you all the tea. Good morning, Amelia. Chrissy said, yep, both gender do it. Yeah. Okay, so this person is asking, hi, how are you doing today? How long to get your Social Security card after your work permit has been approved? Honestly, it really depends. The Social Security card doesn't come from USCIS. It comes from the Social Security Administration, and they ship from their DC office. So it just really depends. Sometimes you can see a couple of weeks. Sometimes we've seen like 2 months. Right now, this year, we're seeing it come quicker than, say, last year or in 2020 was the worst because the Social Security office was closed. So hopefully in a couple of weeks you should get it. If you've not gotten it, you want to call the Social Security office to make sure that it's been issued. We've also had success using congressional assistance to reach out to Social Security office to find out if it's been issued. So that could also be an option for you depending on how long you've been waiting. So somebody, Myers on Instagram said, question, is it normal to get biometrics appointment without a prima facie letter? Absolutely. Biometrics is a requirement for every immigration petition that you submit. Now, some people always say to me, oh, well, I got biometrics with my previous case I filed. Doesn't matter. As long as you file a new case, you're going to get biometrics. Biometrics is absolutely no indication of whether your case has been approved, pre-approved, or anything else. Biometrics is to get fingerprints, basically to pull your background. So it must happen, whether you get a prima facie or not. You must get a biometrics. Or sometimes USCIS will do a biometrics bypass and say to you, we have a recent biometrics, so we're going to bypass you. But you must submit the biometrics fee. You must. Somebody says, please, can I divorce after I get my EDD? What's EDD? Do you mean EAD? I filed for VAWA. Well, I can't make that decision for you. You can make the decision for yourself if you want to divorce your spouse or not. But if the question is, can you divorce somebody if you have a pending VAWA? Yes, you can. Okay, good morning. My question is, what if you've already filed for papers, then your husband doesn't want to give out his taxes? When you say you file for papers, what do you mean? Like, if you're doing a marriage-based case, your husband has to file taxes. If he doesn't file taxes, he better have a good reason why he's not filing taxes. Before they can move on, you can't just skip to a joint sponsor. You have to explain why your husband cannot sponsor you. So that's something you want to talk about. And if your husband is giving you a hard time with doing that, you definitely want to get screened to see if you qualify for VAWA. One, you're not going to need his taxes for VAWA, but two, that to me is very suspect. And there may be other stuff going on. Debbie says, what's that? Oh, crap. All right, so since my phone just rang, I know that's going to disconnect me from Instagram. Can you guys still hear me on Instagram? If not, I'm going to have to end the live now. Shari K said, I suffered for years before I knew about VAWA. Absolutely, exactly. So many people have suffered, because they never knew about VAWA. Can you guys hear me on Instagram? Whenever my phone rings, like I forgot to turn off my cell phone ringer. No sound. Okay, no sound. All right, guys, I gotta go because somebody called me and now nobody can hear me on Instagram. All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day and I will be back on live tomorrow. Bye.